What is happening, everybody? trueeevil here, and today we're going to be analyzing the two new characters that are releasing tomorrow in Etheria Restart. Now, they have just done the update the day before their banners, and they have been added to the archive, so we're going to be able to analyze their kits, analyze their stats, really figure out if any of these are worth it. I'm going to be pretty as unbiased as I can be with these kits and really figure out, one, do they work without any lattices? Because if you're like me, I got two today from doing my weeklies, and I just really can't invest in a character that is a maximum lattice investment. Like, I didn't pull for Yelly because, well, I just didn't have any lattices, and by the time I actually have enough, well, there's probably going to be another busted DPS character. So we're really going to be analyzing that because that is really important to me. And two, is do they do their job the best, or are they a unique role? This is going to be really important because, well, if there is an SR unit that can pretty much do their role at like a 95% rate, 90% rate, and I still get those clears and everything, I don't think an SSR would actually be worth it because the resources are very limited in this game. So I don't want just like a little bit upgrade. I don't want to go from a small kids meal to a medium kids meal. I want the big thing. So without further ado, let's get in on these kits. The first character we're going to look at today is Fuqiu. And now Fuqiu is a character that people are comparing to Valerian and just saying she's a slightly upgraded version of Valerian, and I just don't agree with that at all. If you check out her skill 3, you'll see that Fuqiu applies a 2-turn shield to all allies, but she has to have her turn to do that. What makes Valerian so strong is she just starts the battle off in a hazy dream, so that way, even if she's the slowest character in the fight, they will get the shields when they start the turn. So, if your initiator is a character like Lily, Fuqiu, what have you, they're going to get the shield and the basic buff, and Valerian doesn't have to go. And what makes this hard is Fuqiu has to go for them to get the shield. And because of that, well, her speed is a little bit on the slow side. So in a PvP setting, right, they're going to have attacked you and stuff like that before Fuqiu is probably going to have the turn, most likely. So in that regard, I would say that their shields are kind of nothing alike, and also there is no like cheat death function, and a lot of reasons people used Valerian at the beginning as well. Some of these encounters do incredibly heavy amounts of damage, especially in like anti-sync echoes, and if you're just starting off in Terra and you don't have the bulk yet from your substats, you can just get one-shotted in Terra, and having Valerian just pretty much makes it so that one shot just doesn't happen. Now, besides that though, instead of getting a basic buff, what you get off this is everyone besides Fuqiu is going to get a 2-turn speed up. Now, this is the biggest part about Fuqiu, in my opinion, because this is the first character banner we've had where we can get speed up to other allies. Now, I believe there's only 3 other characters in the game right now who can give speed up. Red Kazio, who, and unfortunately, her kit isn't just like good enough in my opinion to really utilize all the time, and then Fuqiu and Lily. And of course, Lily is probably the most used out of all of them, since Lily is like arguably the best character in this video game. But not everyone has Lily, not everyone has Fuqiu, and if you're like me, you definitely don't have either of those. So finally getting a character that can give speed up is huge in my opinion, and is going to make a lot of things just a lot easier for me. So in that regard, I feel like she's going to be a must pull just for that, because not only do we get the speed up, but we actually get something useful with it. Whereas with, say, Red Kazio, if you're only using her for the speed up, she's just kind of a speed up stick, and like not giving enough uses to really be utilized in these really, really harder end games where you need specific roles, because, well, she's just taking up a specific role in those. So now we have a healer with speed up, huge must pull just from that, in my opinion. Then we have the Moonlit Veil. And what Moonlit Veil does is at the end of their turn, after taking damage, increase turn meter and healing 8% of max HP. Now, this is a thing you got to check out here, is because if you look at this, it means that the skill on the Moonlit Veil gets stronger based off the levels, and it's going to be the level 3 and the level 5. Now, unfortunately, because the character's maxed out, we don't know what the minimum is, and what I believe it'll most likely be is because they increase the effect of Turn Meter Plus to 12%, I believe it'll start at 10%. Now, this is something we really need to check out because, well, if it's like 8%, right, then we definitely have to use like gold lattices to get to this and it'll feel mid. But if it's at 10%, right, I am totally fine with it just being a 10% turn meter increase. I don't need to put the lattices into that. And that's huge, right? Because we're talking about like, do we have to use gold lattices to make these characters function? So if her base is increase the effect of turn meter plus to 10%, we don't need to put lattices in there. And then the other part of this is the healing 8% of max HP. Now, of course, any type of heal is good, and unfortunately, the heal part of this is on the level 5 of the skill 3. So we need to check this out too, right? Because I think 6% of max HP is going to be totally fine. She's going to have a whole lot of HP. As you can see with her stats, she has 14k HP, which is a ton for a healer. If you look at a normal support unit, like Freya for instance, a little bit shy of 1200, and most supporty type units have that amount of HP, as you see with Silence. And when you go to the bulkier healers, like for say Valerian only has 1200 and a little bit up. So yes, Fuqiu has a giant HP pool. So it's not going to matter super hard if it's like, 6% versus 8% in my opinion. So in that regard, as long as this is 6%, we are good to go. None of this matters. This skill 3 is going to function and you don't need to put any lattices on. So huge, huge. Now we're going to go to the skill 1 because the skill 1 is really important because it increases 2 random allies turn meter by 10%. And this is going to be really, really important because we need to see how much we need to invest into that to get the 10%. And what makes this character also different from Valerian as well, Valerian can't use her skills when in Hazy Dreams. She is just a Hazy Dream stick, whereas this character can actually dish out damage and do moves. So in that regard, definitely an upgrade on that front in my opinion, but they both have just different uses. I want to really ingrain that this character isn't going to replace Valerian isn't going to replace Fuqiu. They just work different and they're going to have different needs. So increase 2 random allies turn meter by 10%. We need to check out where the turn meter increases, and that's going to be on the level 3. So I honestly think as long as this is 8%, we're chilling here. 8%, good vibes. Each time an enemy ends their turn, if Fuqiu does not have Moonlit Veil, increase her turn meter by 8%. If she already has Moonlit Veil, reduce her turn meter by 8%. And that increase it's on the level 5. So, I think this one doesn't matter. I think she's just going to get pushed and pushed back enough. I don't think you have to max out the level 5 to make her worth it. Now, I will say that you might want to get the level 3, though. So that one's going to be up, and it's really going to depend on whether this is a 6% or an 8%. I think on the 8%, it's totally fine leaving at 8%. She's still going to work. So on that front, totally worth it. Now on the skill 2, this is actually really big because 3 hits of damage equal to 10% of her max HP to a single enemy. This might actually hit like a truck, right? Because she has arguably one of the highest HPs in the game. I am not going to analyze every single character and really figure this out, but most really tanky characters have about 12k HP. Let's go to a couple of tank characters and see about that. He scales off defense, so it doesn't really count. Let's go to a tank character. Let's check out Ren. How much health does Ren have? Not a lot. All the defense ones just don't have a ton of max HP. Who's a character? Mia. Mia scales off max HP. How much does Mia have? They have generally the same amount of HP. Okay. So in that front, Mia with full max, you're looking between 60 to 70k HP. So that means on this attack, it's going to do about 20k damage at the end game, which for a healer to do 20k, that actually is no joke. And with each hit triggering Moonlit Veil one time for the ally. Now, of course, this is what it is upgraded, and as you can see, well, it's definitely not a guaranteed hit. This is where we need to put the lattices on. And each hit triggers, I believe, because it's 70% to 85% to 100%, it's either going to be starting off at 55% or 60. And because of that, well, honestly, of course, leveling it up to 4 and taking out all RNG factors is going to be really big here. That is going to be something that we really want to see. And like, I think this might actually be the skill to level up. Now, I don't think you do the reduce skill cooldown here, because this has a 4-turn cooldown, and if we have this at 3, well, we're going to be at the same turn where it's like, do I use the attack or the shield? And her function is to be the shielder, right? She's a shielder healer, so I don't think there's really that much of a world where you want to use the prismatic instead. Now, of course, in like a PvP setting, it might come up a couple of times, but I think for just general purposes, I don't think this one is a necessity, but I do think getting this to level 4 would be nice. I'm probably going to see where it is, and if it's like 55%, I'm going to try the level 2, play it out, see how many times it misses. Do I need more procs? And if I do need this more consistently, get it to level 3, and then if it doesn't feel consistent enough, then I get it to level 4. So this is what I think is going to be the requirement on Fuqiu, and it's really going to depend on your characters and sort of all the outcomes. Do you have to have this Moonlit Veil trigger? Because Moonlit Veil is extremely powerful, in my opinion. It's really going to help with that heal. It's going to increase turn meter. It's everything you could ever want in a just a ability, in my opinion. So it's really, really nice. So definitely, possibly for her lattice investment, up to level 4. Now let's go to the dupes. Now, dupes aren't really required in this game, but of course they're going to make her stronger. And what I mean by that is she scales off HP considerably, and the first and third dupes are HP scaling. So this is going to be really, really important if you want to make her the best she can be. Of course, 5% isn't that big. How much is it going to be? 5% of 14k, that is going to be about 700 HP from the dupe. So, you know, that's not a lot, right? So you can get that off a substat. Not the end of the world if you don't get that, but let's see if any of these dupes where effect accuracy. I actually, when I was looking at her kit, it doesn't look like anything is going to scale off effect accuracy, because like here, chance to trigger this, I don't think this really scales off effect accuracy, because it kind of looks like how Ling Lugi on her application of cleanse, where it's the percentage. I don't believe that is helped with effect accuracy, and this looks like a similar thing. So it seems a little bit weird that she has effect accuracy here, because I don't think she uses it, but I could be wrong. So these aren't really that important. You know, of course this one's going to be good, but here, shield provided plus 8%. Now this one actually might be a huge game changer, way better than all the rest, and we have to check this, right? Because 28% of her max HP, I'm going to say she's going to have 60k HP, so 12k shields, and then plus 8% from that, from 12k, that's like an extra 1,000 health on the shield. And honestly, I do think that is rather significant. So I do think if you are going to be a little sweaty and go for dupes, you know, of course, if you want to max, you know, you know, you don't need to watch a video if you're going to be maxing, right? But I do think this is an extreme power up, and it's going to make her just way, way better. So I do think if you're going to pull more than just the base copy and you want to go for dupes, I think this is the best one by far. So duplicates, definitely go for shield provided plus 8% if you want to do that. Now, you know, pulls, in this game are actually pretty easy to get in my opinion, and I'm not really pulling that much, right? I I pulled for a while, and then you kind of get like 10 to 15 off just like playing the game every day. So you save up a lot. And now after this banner, we're going to get a character every 3 weeks. So, if there's a character you skip, right, you're going to have like 200 pulls. So, in that regard, I do think that, well, if you see a character you know you're going to use a lot, for example, I am going to need this speed up like no other, so I'm going to definitely use Fuqiu a whole ton, then I'm definitely going to try to get at least one duplicate on her and hopefully get the two. Now, of course, I'm not gonna like, I don't really want to spend a whole lot, but for me, I think $5 worth of pulls. There's usually like a $5 get 10 pulls or something. I'll try that, but like I'm not gonna go overboard. I don't think the 8% is like a must all be all, but I do think it'll be nice. So let's move on to Nahor. So the next character is going to be Nahor. Now, Fuqiu was compared to Valerian, and Nahor was compared to Kraken. A lot of people are saying that he is an upgraded version of Kraken. So, of course, that means we're going to need to look at that skill 3. And looking at this skill 3, already I can tell cooldown 4, reduce skill cooldown by 1, and it's something that is a 2-turn and 1-turn effect. And already, red flag for me, because this means this has to be upgraded with gold lattices to actually even function, right? Because we have to get to at least a 50% chance. We have to at least get the 70% chance, especially in like harder Inferno content. So already huge red flag. Now, what does separate this from Kraken is Kraken does a 50% chance of freeze, and then I believe it's a 65% for turn meter pushback. But the difference is Kraken has a 100% chance on his freeze if you utilize him with a character like, say, Mio or Marvel to push them back first, because I believe it's when they're pushed back fully that they have a 100% chance of freeze. So let's check that real quick. Yeah. So already we have a huge red flag in my opinion. We have an SSR who, although he does give full defense down, the defense down isn't guaranteed, and the freeze actually is worse than the SR version of the character. And well, I would rather fully max with purple tofus than gold tofus, especially for something that isn't a full upgrade. And what I mean by that is that even though it's really nice to have a defense down, it's nice to merge two roles, this is only a 70% chance. And that's a really big red flag because almost everyone in this game is utilizing Kloss. And I believe Kloss is a 100%? Yeah, already. Wait, I just, there is no real shot, because what I'm trying to think of spots where Nahor would work in PvE content, and while the first thing I'm thinking about is, of course, I'm thinking about Doki Doki Inferno, and from what I'm seeing is, well, Kloss plus Casio is just miles better. There's no real reason not to do that. But of course, not everyone has a Kloss, right? So that is why you would kind of pull the Nahor. But even then, right, the Kraken is pretty close. Now, of course, we're just bashing the skill 3 at this point. Of course, he has other skills. So let's see if he has a passive. 40% chance to inflict a 2-turn defense down. Isn't that the same as Kraken? Oof, already, right? we his a fully upgraded gold tofu version of his skill is a just the exact same thing as Kraken. So huge red flag on that already. We've got 2 red flags, and now the third one, of course, is going to be seeing his skill 2. Is his skill 2 even worth it? Dispel. Dispel is very strong in this game. Characters like Viper and Holden are absolutely amazing with Holden, arguably being one of the best banners we've had, because Holden is used in practically almost all content. You can use him to clear Terramatan, you can use him to clear Aurora, you can use him to clear Sharon, you can use him to clear Rango, pretty much everything except Shadow Flame Hoyon you can use him for. Now, of course, he's not optimal in some of those roles, but he can pretty much do everything, right? So already he blocks and he inflicts a 2-turn block. Ooh, it's 70% chance too, and it has to be upgraded for the 70% chance. And the spelling effect has been changed to remove all buffs. Oh, so okay, already red flag. We have to have gold tofus to even make this even worth it. You have to get this to level 4, I would say, to make it even worth it. Level 3, probably to remove all buffs on a character, but it's only a single target, right? And Holden is just going to be way better at despelling because when you crit, it's a 100% chance, and well, you probably have a crit chance piece on him, so that's gonna probably happen. So multiple chances too on that, right? So even if you don't crit and it's a 50% chance, you have a 50% chance, a 100% chance, 250% chance, 200% chance. That's definitely going to be way better than the Nahor. Now let's check out a couple of other despell characters. The SR option a lot of people are using in content is of course Viper. Let's see his despell, 65% chance. So no, it's 75% chance with 65% with the debuffs. And this despells 2 and it's AoE. Already a better chance, and he can counterattack with the despell too. I Okay, let's see if he's better than Mia, right? Maybe he has to be better than the Mia chance. 50% chance with each. Okay, so already we have 2 chances of to despell with the similar amount of investment, and it has pushback. That can be up to pushback 30%. Without lattices, this is not very reliable, right? But also, you have to put lattices into Nahor. So after looking at this kit already, this is a 100% skip in my book. Also, I think his outfit looks really dumb too. Like he looks like a wannabe Fire Emblem character with that tome. So already really, really L takes, and the glasses make him look like a Poindexter, a prowess. Let's look at his prowess skills, probably effect accuracy. Ah, I'm gonna be honest. Definitely a must skip. He is probably the worst banner character we've had so far. Um, I can't think of a single good role. Like, in PvP, I would rather just have a Kraken built at this point. He has 122 speed now, and that is no joke. That does make him faster than Kraken, I believe. Let's check Kraken's speed with that 122. Yeah, so he has 3 more speed on Kraken. So for I would say gold tofus, if you buy them from the shop, are $30. So for over $300 more, you can get 3 speed, and slightly less on the kit value. So that's where I'm going at. 100%, you need to skip Nahor. 100%. I don't see a world where he is good. So that's the video. I think Fuqiu must pull, has a lot of utility in her kit. She can do damage, does speed up, does shields, does healing, a lot of turn meter push up. Nahor, he's a AliExpress version of Kraken, in my opinion. So yeah, don't pull him.